Hey, what's going on, people? I am here back again to do another movie review, and it is time to finally review X-Men Days of Future Past. Yeah, it's been a while, been broke on money, so I wasn't able to see this film until now. And how ironic that I'm reviewing a film called Days of Future Past, because everybody else has seen this shit but me. uh, but finally saw it, and I'm gonna say right off the bat, good job. Really good job. Bryan Singer and everybody else who worked on this film. Wow, what a movie. The themes, the characters, uh, everything on this movie was just so well done. This is the best. I'm going to say the best Marvel movie I've seen. When I say Marvel, I'm including studios, Marvel Studios too. Um, I mean, I love Winter Soldier still. I still think that's I don't know. It's a toss up between for me. It's a toss up between this and X Men Days of Future Past as far as like the whole Marvel line uh, thing goes. But I do think that X Men Days of Future Past took it a step further than Winter Soldier did as far as its important message in the movie because this movie is also about choices and it's also about our future. And the choices you make will decide your future. Some people become hopeless. Some people become afraid of the future. Some people hate the past and they try to cover it up as much as possible and things of that nature. And all those themes and all those questions are in this movie. And they're not exactly answered, but they're not unanswered either. It's up for you, the audience, to decide what you want to do with your future. And I like this a lot. First, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the characters. My biggest fear is when they announce X-Men movies. Is my all time biggest fear will always be too many characters, and they're not going to be able to show all the characters in all the glory. You know, they're not going to be able to go into the backstories because there's going to be too many characters on screen. X Men has probably most of Marvel's characters probably come from the X Men universe because there's just so much in the X Men universe. Like it's kind of its own pocket universe within the Marvel universe, as people always say, because you know there's so many characters within the X Men universe that they have accumulated over the uh, since Marvel's existence. So that's always my biggest fear. Excuse me. And they did a good job with balancing all the characters. I I don't feel like one character took over. You know, Wolverine didn't take over this movie like I thought he was. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, this is probably gonna be another Wolverine in his Amazing Friends movies because let's be honest. Um, I mean, I got a Wolverine shirt on, uh, kick ass shirt. I love Wolverine. Logan's a great character, but I get sick of him. And especially in the movies because he's taking over everything. You know, it's like X Men has, like I said, so many other characters that they can expound upon, and I want to see that. And you did get to see that within this movie. You know, but excuse me. Speaking of Logan, I'll talk about him first. This is the most mature and I think the most well written I've seen Logan in a long time. Not just in film, but including the comics, because Logan has, for lack of better terms, he's become overused. That's not really lack of better term. That's just the way to describe it. Actually, overused. He's all over the damn place. He was all over the damn place for a long time. You know, X Men, Avengers, um, X Force. You know, he was all over Marvel, and I just got sick of him. So I just stayed. I avoided Wolverine, and it happened in the movies too. You know, all the past movies have really been about Wolverine, except First Class, which is mostly Eric and Charles, Magneto, and Professor Xavier. But with this movie, Logan's purpose is really well done. Logan is almost the teacher in this movie. He's the mentor in this film. He's a mentor to both Charles Xavier and Eric Eric Magnus. He's a mentor to both of them. He's the one who convinces them. He's the one who has to come back to the past and convince these two guys to come together, put their differences aside, and let's help the future. And I like that a lot about this movie. Logan just was fantastic in this film. He was really well done. I really enjoyed his character. Um, it was really just fun to see Hugh Jackman back in the role again. Of course, I mean, he's pretty much solidified himself as that character. I can't see anybody else playing him. He just is that character now. He's taken that and he's run with it. That's his baby. Just as much as all the other actors who really, have known for playing these characters for a while now. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and uh, all the other characters in the movies. So that was great. We had some of the older actors back. Ian McKellen, of course, back as Magneto. He did a good job for the little parts he was in. Um, Charles Xavier, the future Charles Xavier, fantastic as usual. Patrick Stewart. I mean, Patrick Stewart is the man. So I'm not. I mean, him and Ian McKellen. I'm not even gonna touch that because it's just awesome. Okay, like they can't do no wrong. That's how I feel about that. And of course, you had the younger versions of the character, which was also well played. Uh, Michael Fassbender, and I'm forgetting the actor who played young Charles. His name is not coming to me, but you guys know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure it'll come to me later. If it doesn't, you guys know who I'm talking about. But he does a fantastic job with Charles's character in here. His whole thing about self pity and not really ready to move on to the future, and he's stuck in the past. That's why he's drinking and whatnot. He lost his best friend, the person he grew up with, and his lifelong um, rival slash friend, Eric, and he has to deal with that and the decisions that they had to make in first class. So he's dealing with the fallout with that, and I really liked his character. Hank McCoy was back in here, which was cool. It's always cool to see Beast. Beast is a beloved character of mine. He's a really fun character, really smart, and I really like the role he played alongside of Logan and Charles. He was really, I would say, he was the brain of the operation as usual. And it was good. It was cool to see him go out in and out of Beast form, which was pretty neat. I like that a lot. Oh, he had the manipulator on him, so the world couldn't see him for who he really was, because the world, of course, is afraid of mutants. So I like that a lot. That was really neat. Um, Magneto's themes, of course, are always awesome. Magneto is a fantastic character, and what he represents. He looks at humanity and he sees the bad in humanity. He's like, they're gonna shoot first, so we got to be ready. Um, Magneto's never really enjoyed killing, but he's always seen humans as the enemy, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? That's the thing about his character. You can always kind of see where he's coming from. You don't agree with what he does and how he goes about dealing with those um, stresses that he has to undercome, but you understand where he's coming from. You understand why he feels the way he does and why he does what he does. Sometimes, humanity can be really sick and disgusting, and he sees that, and that's really all he sees. He doesn't see the good in us at all. So he sees himself as the Homo superior and us as the Homo sapiens. So, I mean, his whole theme in here was really interesting. I enjoyed his character. I really love that they put the costume on, like he had the red on, and then he finally put the helmet on. I was like, oh man, that was cool. And a display of power. I mean, just a display of power that man. I mean, he picked up a whole fucking stadium, and he was controlling the Sentinels. That's fucking crazy. That's the dude, man. That's you don't fuck with Magneto. He is not a character you want to fuck with. Very powerful mutant, A-class mutant, and you can see why in this movie. That's not even a glimpse of what he can really do. He's actually so powerful at one point. He actually took the Earth off its axis. I mean, that's nuts. That's ludicrous. That's crazy. Um, Not a dude you want to fuck with. Like I said, he was the man. Uh, Charles Xavier. I like the way that he got his powers back. You know what I'm saying? He was walking because he had some needle injection, but it came with a price. He couldn't use his mutant power, but he had to let that go, and he had to use his power again to help secure a better future. Now, and I like that a lot. You know, just really good. Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence does a good job with her character in here, Mystique. She can play the badass part, but she brings a real humanity to Mystique that I like. Mystique is also another character that's not exactly good or evil. You know, sometimes she does some good stuff, sometimes she does some bad stuff, sometimes she just kind of like whatever, leave me alone. And I like that. You see that a lot in this movie. She doesn't agree with Charles. She doesn't agree with Eric. She just kind of wants to have a secure and better future for herself. And all the other stuff, just leave me alone. That's pretty much how she feels. I like that a lot. Her character was really well done in here, and I love the action scenes with her and her display of power. Now, let's talk about the other characters in the future. Halle Berry's back as Storm is not as annoying as it usually is because Halle Berry is an okay actor, but I prefer somebody else's Storm. But she does a good job with her. I mean, for the little we see her, her future self, didn't mind her at all. You got to see some other characters. Bishop, um, could have used a little bit more backstory with Bishop, but his display of power was cool. Uh, we got to see Blink again. She wasn't really a character as she was just more displaying her powers. Warpath was in here again, more of a display of power than a character. You know, we really didn't get to know him. Um, Bobby was in here, Iceman, really cool scene. He had a cool display of power. You know, just like the comics, he had made like the surfing thing. You know, when he slides on the ice and stuff, that was fucking cool. I like that a lot. That actor does a good job too with the character. From from the first time he played him to now. Who else do we have in here? Kitty. I was a little bit disappointed with Kitty. She was more of just like a tool than a character again. You know, the future part that was the problem. You know, they were more of just displaying their powers, and we get to see their character. I mean, they had some good acting points in there, but I'm like, I wanted to know them more, so that was a little disappointing. But for the parts that they served, they did a good job in them. So that's all I have to say about the characters. You know, the characters are just really well represented. And even the villains, Trask, Tyrion Lannister, aka Peter Dinklage, does a good job in here playing Trask. I really liked his character and his ideals. He doesn't really see mutants as he doesn't really hate mutants. He even has a great line when he's talking to I think Stryker or one of the soldiers, where he's talking to him. He's like, I don't really hate mutants. I admire them, um, but they are our future, and he has a different way of looking at mutants. You know, he just sees them as a tool to a better future for mankind. You know, and speaking of him, the Sentinels, I didn't really care too much for the design, but I like how they were used. You know what I mean? I like how they were displayed. You know, they were definitely cool to look at. Even though I didn't really care for the design, I would much more prefer the comic book look of the Sentinels. But for what they are, not so bad. Not too shabby. Um, what else can I talk about in here? The overall, like I said, the overall theme of this movie is pretty much decisions, and what decision you make will determine the future, and that's so true. You know, people make bad decisions all the time, and they don't really think things through. You got to think things through before you make a decision, and those decisions will, like a ripple. You know, it's like a ripple. You make a decision, it's gonna affect so many other things and so many other people, and they did a good job with that. I like that this movie did take place in the 70s and stuff like that. It was cool seeing the characters back in that time period and the stuff that they had to deal with Vietnam and coming off World War II and stuff like that. It was really really fascinating. And I think the audience really responded well to this movie as well as you would like them to respond. They weren't bored by it or anything. Like, you can tell people were really paying attention and they really felt the heartfelt moments, because there was a really lot of heartfelt moments, especially with Charles and Logan and Eric. They really had some really good chemistry. So overall, just a fantastic film. Um, I can't wait for the next one. I really can't. Oh, in the future, I was expecting to see Nimrod appear. I thought like the main Sentinel that they were gonna have would be like Nimrod. I thought he was gonna be the only one that was gonna be able to like manipulate himself so that he can like look like a mutant and stuff like that. That's what I thought they were going for when they started showing the pictures. Oh, one more thing. I forgot to mention Quicksilver. Quicksilver was actually pretty funny in here. I like Quicksilver. He was funny. Um, his display of power was cool, and he did make a nod. I don't know if that nod was supposed to be to us, the audience, but he's like, my mom knew someone who could control metal, because Magneto is the father of Quicksilver. So, and he's going to be in the Avengers Age of Ultron, which is Marvel Studios. So it's like, is he trying to say to us, the audience, is that Bryan Singer going, we know he's his son, but we're not going to say that? Or is that a thing in the film where it's like, Eric doesn't even know that that's his son? I don't know. But then again, that couldn't be his son, because how long did he say? He said it was 10 years he was locked up. So maybe it could be his son. I don't know. It's really hard to say. But, excuse me. I can't wait for the next one. At the end of the movie, they give a nod to Apocalypse. Apocalypse is coming, baby. And I want Bryan Singer to stay on. I want him, because he did just a fantastic job of revitalizing this franchise, which was well on its way to being permanently done. As far as I'm concerned, anyway, because I'm just like, the last ones were... Well, First Class was good. Let me say that. Not Brian, but Michael, what's his name? Vaughn, I think. I think Michael Vaughn is his name. He did a good job with First Class. First Class is good. It's not the First Class from the comics, but for what that First Class, it was really good. And I think the X-Men franchise is well on its way back to being awesome. So let's hope they do a good job with Apocalypse. I really want Apocalypse in all his glory, not some generic design. I want to see him how he looks in the comics. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film a 10 out of 10. The only problems I had with it, like I said, was the stuff in the future. We didn't really get to know those characters, because if you're not an X-Men fan, you really don't know who the hell those characters are. I think they said their names, like, I don't even think they said Bishop's name, or I think they said Blink, but I don't think they said Bishop. I think a lot of people were in the audience like, who the heck is that? So that's my only minor problems. Character names and more character development for the future characters. Other than that, though, fantastic. I had a great time. Definitely going to pick this up on Blu-ray. I'm going to watch it over and over and over again. And I really love the way the movie ended with Charles and Logan having a word. I like how Logan saw everybody again. He's like, it's nice to see everybody again. In the future, I like to think that the future doesn't have to be all bad, concerning us in the real world. There's hope, and don't give up. There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Things may seem bad. You might have made some mistakes in your past, but keep hoping, and things might, keep working hard, and you might see a bright future for yourself. No matter how bad things are looking, humanity is not all bad, So, bloody days, gory nights. Catch you guys on the flip side. I am out. Peace.